Hello and good morning here from New York City. My name is Mark Herman, and what you're looking at is the upper right hand corner of the Pericles map board. What I hope to do today is to look at a particular scenario, which is the sort of one of the training scenarios, but really actually a game unto itself. So again, it doesn't, you can play this Pericles in many different ways, but just to put this in perspective, it is called, let's see if we can get this into the shot, The War in the Aegean. Now, what's going on here is we're just going to play the theater resolution segment for a subset of the board, and it covers the period, actually one of the more interesting periods. First off, if you're a big fan of Thucydides, what you will note is that none of this is covered in Thucydides. This is actually all in Xenophon, because Thucydides ends in 411, right about the time that this is beginning. And so just kind of panning around the map. And by the way, for all the people who have been giving me a whole lot of advice, I appreciate the advice. I now have a stand for the camera, which, unlike a regular tripod, is there to take still photos of like books and things. So I'm hoping that this will work out better. And so far, it's pretty good, except that the focal length is such I can't get the whole board in, but I don't think that's going to be a problem. It'll actually have better close-up. So here's what we're going to do. Over here, you will see a bunch of issue markers. So in other words, in this scenario, the honor order and the issues that are assigned to each side are already given. Now, the next question you're going to say is, are you going to use the bots? And the answer is the bots don't work with less than the whole map. But here's what I'm going to do, because it'll be a lot of fun, is I'm going to turn all of the markers upside down so I don't even know what they are. I'm going to mix them up, and then I'm going to roll dice and just place them randomly around the board. What kind of narrative that's going to generate, I have no idea, but it should be pretty crazy. But more important, it'll let me walk through the various situations that can occur. Now, what you see here is that the scenario specifies the honor order, so it's aristocrat, Aegean, demagogue, and Eurypontid. And you'll note that each side each faction has 4 issues that it gets to resolve. This is a legal position. You could actually end up technically with 9 total for a side, but that is extremely rare. What you should expect in a real game is 5/6 issues per side will actually get into play based on the assembly, plus or minus 1. So you'll have one side will have 3, the other side will have 2 or 3, and that typically is what a real turn would generate in the game. But this is a legal. This could happen. It just usually the cards don't cooperate as such. But what it will do is it will generate a lot of action. I will also note that each faction in the scenario has 12 Strategos tokens. So even with all these issues, there's going to be some natural limitations of what's going to get accomplished. And like I said, we'll be making some best decisions. So let me flip over the markers and kind of, mix them up. And then we will start and I'm going to roll a 10-sided die, because there's basically there's 9 theaters in Persia. So I'll roll a 10-sided die, and when I roll 0, we'll see if there's anything reasonable I can do with Persia. But anyway, it'll be a 10-sided die that'll be used for the placement, and I'll just quickly get these on the board so we can move on and go through the procedures for the theater resolution segment. Okay, so I did a lot of die rolling, which I spared you. So here's what happened. In Sparta, one Spartan, again, I don't know what any of these are. I kind of just mixed them up and rolled dice a lot. And so one ended up in Sparta. What was interesting, a queue developed in Athens of 2 Spartan and 1 Athenian. Just be clear, since it was absolutely random, there may be no strategy here. In fact, there is no strategy here. This is totally random stuff. But I'm going to do it that way just so that we can, again, this is more about procedure than strategy. I can discuss strategy as we go, but really the main point is just to see how things work. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to roll a die to figure out where the aristocrats start. Now, the way this works, now that you're at this part of it, is there's a queue. The Athenians can only turn over the top of a queue if it's blue. So as you will note, even some guys in Persia, I forgot about that. I wonder well, those were probably wasted or rumors or who the heck knows. But not much is going to happen out of Persia, but that was the 0 die roll. So anyway, going back to it. And so as you can see, there are various places. So I'm just going to assign a 1 through 6. Let's see, just looking at the board, 1, 2, I'll start in Persia, 1, 2, 3, 4, so anything but a 6 will be, this is the aristocrats going first. I rolled, I got to roll a 6-sided die. So I rolled a 3, so 1, 2, 3, so that's going to be Chios, because I was doing it 1, 2, 3, etc. down the board here. And the first thing turned over is a diplomatic. Oh, that's kind of interesting. So then now the question is, how does that resolve? So now let's take a look at the. So if you're looking at this and you had a play aid around, that would be helpful. But I'll put the. So in the play aid, it lays out what's going on here, and this is a contested or enemy controlled theater, and so essentially the main thing we can do is we can play strategos to create treachery markers. And treachery markers are not, it would take, if we put 3 is the most. So if we had put, this is a strength of 2, 3, 4, 5. So 3 treachery markers is not going to be enough. It's not going to be able to create a revolt in his base because the base is too well covered. However, we could defend our base, but again, given that there's a lot of markers out here, I'm basically going to commit 1, and this, by the way, means it's even though it was turned over by the aristocrats who have honor 1, this is still conducted by the demagogues because it's their issue. And so the demagogues are going to spend 1 strategos token such as that, and that's going to generate 1 Athenian treachery marker in this space, and that's expended. And so now we've increased the defense strength or the attack strength of Chios by 1. So that issue has now been resolved, and we just move that off. So now it is the Aegeans, they have to turn over a Spartan one. If we look around the board, we have a Spartan there, no, yes, and it looks like we've got some up here. So 1, 2, 3, I got, again, 5 Spartans on top. So as long as we don't roll a 6, we'll have a result. I rolled a 1. Oh, that's Sparta. Actually, that's an interesting one. Let's turn over to there and see what happens here. Well, what we're hoping, well, there were a lot of military issues, so I'm hoping it is a Eurypontid. So again, this was the Aegeans turning it over, but it's a Eurypontid military issue. Okay, so what ends up happening is when you have a military issue in your city-state, there's a special thing that occurs is I can build Spartans. And so essentially I can build, for each base, and there's 2 of them here, I can build, let's just move this back a little bit so we can see the whole space. There we go. Hopefully that shake is gone. I've got two bases here. That means I can either build, per base, I can either build 2 of these or 1 of these. 2 infantry or 1 naval. And as it turns out, I would prefer not to build the naval unit here because, and we'll get into that in a bit, is that it would have to try to get past Athens to get anywhere useful, and there's enough boats there, it's not getting anywhere. However, never bad to have Spartans. So we're going to build 4 Spartans on this military issue. Now, if there was any Athenians in here, we would immediately start, initiating a battle procedure with strategos and all that. But since there's nobody there, the only thing that is required is that the Eurypontids, the commanding general, always has to spend at least 1. And so we're going to have to spend 1 strategos just to have the military issue so we could get the troops. And consequently, we have now mustered more forces in Sparta. And that is our second action, or second issue resolved. Now, one other rule I want to cover is, in the rule book, it's 9.11, Persian gold. So one of the cool things that occurs in the game is that whenever you have a military issue in Sparta, specifically, and you're raising Spartan forces, You also get to use Persian gold if it happens to be in play. Now, just so you understand, at the beginning of a normal scenario, all the major scenarios as you get later in the war, obviously Persia's in the war, but if you get into one of the earlier scenarios, this would be the situation. It'd be nothing here. Now, what allows you to build Persian bases is the Peloponnesians have to either get a base in Ionia, you see that yellow base, or, and again, my favorite guy in history, Alcibiades, which is the black meeple, which starts many scenarios in Athens, is moved to Persia due to an Aristophanes card, which is the frogs A, B, and C. And I picked that particular one because Alcibiades is heavily satirized in that particular play. And once Alcibiades is in Persia, it's the equivalent of having a Peloponnesian base in Ionia. You can now build with league issues Persian base, and in this scenario it starts with 2. So what that means is that because of that Spartan military issue that we just resolved, we get to use Persian gold, and you can do one of 3 things. The first thing is you can basically build up to 3 Spartan naval units. Those are the red ones. And right now we've already have 3 of them in play. There's only one other one to build. And we can build it in any Spartan base, which in this case would allow us to build it in Ionia. Or we could have up to 4 Peloponnesian land units, which we can build in Ionia. Again, up to means that you still have to have, if you only have 1 base, you still can only build 2, by the way. But if you had 2 bases, you could build up to 4. If you had 3 bases, you could still only build up to 4 with this particular rule. And the third option, you could build 3 Peloponnesian naval units, maybe built in any Aegean theater, which is defined in the rules as, the ones that are here in Lesbos, Chios, Samos, Cyclades, and South Sporades, where you have any kind of Spartan or Peloponnesian base. And so, in this case, I'm just going to build a couple of naval units for the Peloponnesians. Okay, so now it's the demagogues' turn, and the demagogues are going to. There are 4, by the way. I'm not going to switch the camera, but believe me, there's 4 exposed, and look at that, 1. So 1 was what I assigned to this space anyway. So we're going to flip this up, and we're going to find, whoops, we got more information we should have, a league issue. Now, that is going to be an unfortunate play, I think, because we can't build a base. So it's a good point to bring up some rules. So 1, you can never have more than 3 bases, so 1, 2, and there's a Spartan base here, so that's 3. Can't build another base. Now, if there was any Spartan treachery in the space, we could actually remove one of them, or even a friendly one. By the way, you could go either way. Sometimes you want to pull treachery markers off the board. Treachery markers are very persistent in this game. So once they're on the board, unless conditions in that theater change or you play a league issue, they're going to basically stay there. So this basic issue is of no particular use to the Athenians in this space, but again, it was random, so such is life. And by the way, there are times when, based on circumstances changing by the time the league issue come up, like in other words, you may have a situation where you need to have a friendly unit in the space so that you could do something. It has to be contested, and before you got the league issue exposed, the unit was killed in an earlier battle, and therefore it was not available. So now we're gonna roll. Where the heck that die go? Oh, here it is. We're now gonna roll 3. So there was 4. So it's 1, 2. Okay, so this is Samos, and so Samos is over here, and it's a rumor marker. Now, rumor markers are there to tie up a queue. You can create, their bluff markers, etc. So in this case, this rumor marker does nothing, and it just comes off the board. And so now we have completed we've now gone through the honor rolls once, and now we're going through it a second time. And so it goes back to honor 1, which is the aristocrats. And we roll a 5, and there were, okay, so I'm going to roll until I get a 1 through 4 here, because there are 4, here we go. So that's going to be Lesbos. So we're going to flip up Lesbos. Good. Finally, a military operation. Now, this is actually just. This actually is good strategy, and it will be unfortunate for the Spartans, as you're going to find out. Although it's going to have, it'll be an interesting battle, I suspect. So, what's going to happen now is, there would now be a situation where each of the players would designate a number of strategos. Now, the commanding general, and you do this, and the way we do this is in hand. So, in other words, if you, let's say this was the commanding general. Let's say I was going to commit 5 as the commanding general. Again, this is the aristocrats or the commanding general because it's their issue. I would hold my hand out like this, and so all 4 players, imagine, have their hands out like this. Now, this is the part where I find, it tends to be funny. The people who are, the Spartans in this case, because this is an Athenian military expedition, although they have their tokens in hand, when the hands are opened, the Spartans keep theirs closed. Only the Athenians show what they're going to do. Then the Athenians will move all their forces, and so let's just roll a die. I'm gonna basically just say that this is going to be an important battle for Athens. The commanding general is going to go 5. So and I'm just going to roll a die to see how much the other faction's going to throw in. Oh, and they're throwing in. I got to make sure I get them from the right piles. That's 5. So this is a all-in. I rolled a 4, by the way, off map. So if I rolled a 5 or a 6, I would have said no tokens. So this is how it will look. So after the Athenians open their hands, that's what it looks like. So there's 9. That means that Athens can move up to 9 units into that space. And given that it's a naval theater and that there's Corinthian boats there, this is going to be a rough day. In fact, I suspect that I can take and wipe out the entire in fact, I will be able to wipe out the entire Peloponnesian force here, which will be kind of interesting and good to go through from a procedural point of view. If you're the Spartans, you won't enjoy this, but anyway, that's the way life is sometimes. So, starting off, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to get 9 units, so I'm going to look around the board, and with 9, I'm going to basically want to bring in land forces because I'm going to want to not only win the naval battle, but win the land battle. So let me now walk through this procedure very slowly. First thing you do is we establish that this is a blue theater. That means it's a naval theater. That means that it's mandatory that a naval battle be fought. It is also, and then the winner of the naval battle has the option to fight a land battle. Now, if this had happened in Ionia, you'll note that it's a brown space. A brown space is a land theater. That means there's first a mandatory land combat, and then what happens next is an optional naval combat for the winner. And so, a very good strategy for the Peloponnesians and the Spartans and the Peloponnesians is keep your fleets in land theaters with an army to guard them. Because you can basically win the land battle and then avoid any kind of naval conflict. So think of it as like a sheltered harbor, a walled city, walled port, or whatever. Anyway, however, we've caught these poor Corinthians out in the islands here. And so here's what happens next. So first, let's go over the movement rules. So we're going to basically, and we're going to do this 1 unit at a time just to make it simple, though you can, once you understand the rules, you can do this much quicker. But I'm going to go slow here. And it is, by the way, covered in some great detail in the playbook. So again, if you have the playbook, I walk you through this in agonizing detail, but let's do it in agonizing detail now. So you'll note that Athens has a number of connections. So you've got these light blue ones, you've got these darker blue ones, you've got a parallel blue one that's naval only, and what's not in this theater, but there's the only other connection is a land only connection like that one. So those are the basic connections that you're going to run into. And there is a chart right on the map, which I'm going to try to get into the shot. So let's just review this chart, because everything you need to know is right here on this chart, and I'm kind of precariously holding this stand on the edge of the map, so they may waver a little bit, but no worse than what I've done in the past. So let's look at this route. You've got land units, which are cubes, naval units, which are, these, I call them sticks, but it's kind of like a log or whatever it is. Now, to exit a theater along this route, land, you have to compare this unit to the land strength in the space. If you were a naval unit, you would have to compare your naval strength, you're moving a naval unit, to the naval strength in the space. If you're moving along this light blue, you'll note that only Navy matters to get out of the space. Okay, so here's the situation. I'm going to move one of these naval units from here into this battle here. Now, I want to say that given that there is two Spartan issues yet unresolved here, that in a game I would consider this really bad strategy. But I'm looking to show procedure, so you'll forgive me in case this goes bad down the road. Understand that this is not a good move, but let's just do it for procedural perspective. So in other words, the naval strength of the space from the Spartan perspective is 2 for the base. Bases are both land and naval units, so that's a 2. The Athenian naval strength is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So 10 is clearly more than 2, so I would have to leave 2, but since there's bases, it's always going to be okay. And I'm going to move one naval unit, can leave, go along this connection, and shows up in Lesbos. Now, what's also important here to note is that I want to be able to win a land battle after winning a naval battle. But first, let's see, do I want to bring any more naval? For instance, like you might have to move Spartans, like I did in the example, into Thessaly to open up a route, which would be get a Thermopylae. So, or what they would call the hot gates, I guess, is some kind of sulfur spring there or something. Anyway, now going back to our little battle, at this point we find out, and again I'm going to roll dice on the side, so I'm not going to let them, let's see. Okay, that was a 5, so that faction, and a 1. Okay, so the Spartans are throwing 1 Strategos into this. Again, I did this totally randomly, what 2 players would decide, but they also might decide that this is a lost cause. And at this point, we would, pull 2 cards for the to establish our strength. And so these are the 2 cards I had. You'll see it's a 5 and a 3. Now, let's now cover in some detail how a battle actually is resolved. So the strength for the Athenians, and remember, first we're fighting a naval battle. And so in that naval battle, the answer is we have a strength of 2, 4, 6, because again, 2 for each Athenian boat, otherwise all boats are 1. I've got 9, was it 9? Yeah, I got 9 Strategos. So 6 plus 9, 15, and 5 is 20. So let's remember 20. And I'm actually writing that down just so I don't, while I'm talking and doing things, I don't forget the numbers. And now we see that the strength of the Peloponnesians is 2 for the base, 2 for the navy, 1 for the Stratego. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, plus 3 is 8. Okay, this is in the rule book, page 18. It's also on the player aids, but I wanted to show you in the rule book so we can walk through how this works. So the rule is very straightforward. You will lose an amount of units equal to the differential. That's going to be easy. Or the units that can cause attrition. So if we look at this, it's very literal. See, so one of these will kill 2 of these. See, it says it's either a red or it could be any combination of red and yellow, but it's two boats. So that's what the chart is telling you. And I also happen to have another ship here, but in each of these is a set. So one set, in this case, a singular unit, will kill 2 of these. Now, if for some reason the Peloponnesians won the thing, then it would have been, we would have used this line: 2 of these kills 1 of these. And if for some reason we had other kinds of units in here, it would be 1 of these. Where's the yellow one? Kills 1 of these. And if it was this situation, 1 of these kills 1 of these. So that is, in fact, the combat results table. It is totally pictorial, and I know a few people have had difficulty trying to grasp it. I apologize for that, but again, it is just literally this. These one guy, because he's a blue, kills two of these. Also, just to be clear, it could have been two of these, or, if they were involved in a battle, or it could have been this way. All those are what the chart is saying. Now, so we know from our situation that two yellow triremes were killed, right? We lost two yellow triremes, and losses is totally based on what was killed. It has no other, you don't look at differential or anything else. And we note that, this is the line, so for each losing set of units, so the set of units here is two yellows, will kill one blue in return. That's correct, right. We'll kill one in return. So that's an even exchange. So even though we've lost these two Corinthians, this one Athenian will kill, although no honor will be done for that. Now, if the Athenians had lost the battle and this had been killed, this would have been, then one Athenian would have killed in, as eliminated units, would have taken with it to Hades these two guys. And if for any reason this had been a Delian League unit had been killed, it would have killed one Peloponnesian in reply. And if there had been one Peloponnesian killed and it was a Delian League there, this could have been the result. And of course, it doesn't matter whether the unit is red or yellow, it's the same effect, right? So again, the chart is literal. Just, if you get confused, just put the physical pieces on the board, on the actual display, if it's unclear to you. So again, the result of this battle was two of these were killed, again, times two, and so one of the two Athenian triremes was killed. So now that we've established that these two guys were killed by, using the chart, we have we have far more military value that we could take, and surplus can be used to kill the base, but only if the base doesn't have any supporting units. And so there's still a land unit in the space, and so the base is safe and survives the naval battle. And so these two guys, and so what we're going to find out, now we give that honor. This was a aristocrat military event. And so the aristocrats, and you get basically one honor per unit destroyed, except that the commanding general gets double that. So the aristocrats are going to get 4 points, and the demagogues are going to get 2 points, are on the same side, and each of the Spartan factions will lose 2 points. So basically a total of 4, 6 minus and 4. So it's a 10-point swing for a 2-point, for two guys killed and these guys are eliminated. Now we go to the Athenians. Okay, I would like to fight the optional land battle, because we came prepared to do that. So now we are going to calculate a land battle, and the land battle is going to work in a very similar manner. Let's just pull two cards. I'm pulling two cards from over here. And okay, so the cards are not going to affect the outcome because they're even, but we still add them into the score just for giggles. So the land strength for the Peloponnesians is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for the Strategos. So that's a 6. The strength for the Athenians is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, plus 9 is 15. So 15 versus 6 is obviously a difference of 9. And so let's now go back to the chart. Okay, so the same chart, we note that for any one blue cube here, blue cube, I can kill one yellow cube, but it was only one yellow cube. You would also note, by the way, that if in fact if there happened to be a Spartan in the space, which there is not, 2 blue cubes would kill one red cube, or would kill one meeple, because the meeple is actually a cube also. It's a cube and a strategos, and again, it's a special unit, but it's why it's on the chart that way. But this was how that would work out. If it was the Spartans attacking any two cubes. So it could be like this. It could be any combination of two. It could be like that. It could be, well, that's Argos. It could be like that. But again, it's just any two Athenian cubes will be killed by a Spartan. Vice versa, any two Athenian cubes would kill one red cube. One yellow cube would kill any one blue cube or white cube or tan cube, and any tan cube would kill one yellow cube, any white cube would kill one yellow cube, and any blue cube will kill one yellow cube. So that is the combat table for land. Now, what I neglected to, so that's how losses are taken. So now we know that what happened in this battle was that there were two Athenian cubes and one of these. So one set kills one. So this guy's dead and this guy is what causes death. There was an extra one, but we didn't need it. And now we go again, we do the same thing we did before. We're going to look at the land loss table. So what we find out is that it takes two yellow cubes to kill one blue cube or one white cube or one Argos cube. And so we do not have sufficient losses to kill a cube, so there are no return losses on the land side. But if we had and if there had been two yellow cubes, then we would have lost one blue cube. And we will note that, you know, the same thing prevails here. If we had had two Athenian, or I just need another cube here. If these two guys have been killed, I could then kill one Peloponnesian back in reply. And you will note that Spartans are very hard to kill, because it would take literally, you know, if the losing unit had been a Spartan cube, it would take 4 losses to kill that one Spartan cube. And if a Spartan cube had been killed for whatever reason, it would kill one of these back in reply. So again, the table is a literal read-off of what the picture says, and hopefully that is now clear. Okay, so now we find ourselves in the final situation as such. Athens has their base, a surviving naval. You remember we sent 2, 1 died. We have 2 army units, both survived the combat, and the Peloponnesians have been cleared out of Lesbos, and to a fair amount of points. What did they get? It's now 18 and 14 is 32 to 12. Now, again, that you'll see how fast that could flip around, but that was, in fact, I think that was the aristocrats' turn. So, continuing on. So now it's the Spartans' turn to turn over an issue. And when we look around the board, there are 3. So, again, assigning my die roll, that's going to be the Hellespont. Oh, this could be very exciting. This could be, in fact, the big moment of the game. Now, one of the problems that the Athenians ran into, just because it was all random, so let's not, you know, a player could have done, oh, look at that, it is a military. And so this could be the very big dramatic moment of the game. And so what's going to happen now is we're going to do the Strategos thing, and I'm just going to arbitrarily say that this is the moment that that they've been waiting for, as it were, and so we're going to go all out. So the Spartans are going to throw in, again, this will be done in hand, but I'm going to say the Spartans arbitrarily are going to go in, what is that, an Aegean? Yes, the Aegeans put in 5. These guys are going to put in 4, and I'm going to say, I'm going to go all in. I'm not even going to add up this stuff, see what happens. We're just going to go, and so each of the other Athenians would, after all, now this wouldn't happen yet, but let's just keep that off. But I'm going to tell you that I'm going to put all the Athenians against it, and let's see what we can get there from the Spartan side. Well, the easiest one is here. Just let's look at the Spartan fleet that's sitting here. So you've got 2, 3, 4. For naval, you've got 2. right? Because this is a base, these are land units. They're not going to stop. This, again, is a blue connection, which means naval is what determines how you leave there if you're Navy. So the only thing here that's Navy is this base, that's 2, and the Spartans have a 2, so that's going to cancel out. So I can move these 3 units out, and so we're going to do that. So these guys are just going to go like up like that. What this little cube thing here means that if you wanted to move a land unit from here to there, not only would you have to be able to meet the land requirement, but you have to have a base present. Again, it's showing you that you're trying to move a short hop by water to get into the Hellespont region from there. So again, that is what's being calculated there, but that doesn't matter because it's only naval we've moved so far. Now the question is, are we going to move more stuff? And here the problem is I can't move any land out of here because there's 2, 3, 4 land. I have 2, 3, 4 land. So these guys are all locked up. I can't send these guys. They're stuck there. So then I look around and say, can I get more naval into this theater? And the answer is yes. So here I've got 2, 3, 4 naval versus 2, 3. I can get one of these boats out. See, now they're even. So again, this guy is going to go out like that. He gets to Ionia legally because he was able to exit the space. And then I look, and again, just like it was before, it's 3 to 2. I can get this guy, can keep moving, and he ends up in the Hellespont. Then I look around, and the answer is, you'll have to trust me with that, but you know, I can't get the Chios one out. We've already established that. This land unit is stuck because of the Delian base. It's a 2. There's nothing there. And the same thing in the South Sporads. But now the question is, and just because of this, now, because of this scenario, I am not allowed to go into any theaters that are not, you know, in a full game, I could try to come through Amphipolis for the Spartans. The Spartans could march all the way around this way. But this is a small scenario, and the special rules say I can't. So I can't get a Spartan army through here along a naval route because I'll never have naval superiority. And so this looks like all of the Spartans I can get there. So I got a lot of strength, but again, that's all the Spartans I think I can get there, and I'm just going to treat it as such. So now we find out that the Athenians feel like, okay, so we flip the cards, and you'll note that the cards are the same value, so the cards are not going to have any impact on the outcome, other than they will add them to the score anyway. So the Spartans have naval strength of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8, 9, 17. Okay, so we got 17. The Athenians have a strength of 2, 3, 4, because this is an Athenian naval unit, 2, 3, 4, and 8, which is 12. That is, 12, 13, 14, right? 2, 4, 8, 12, 14. So it's 14 to 17. That's a difference of 3, which is kind of fascinating in this particular case. So we now look at, again, we're going to go back to the battle chart, because I'm going to keep walking through that just to make sure everybody's got that down. So again, we have a difference of 3. So again, going to the chart, all of the Spartan guys apply to this line. So I have basically 2 sets, right? Because I've got, this is one set. I got a red and a yellow times 2, and I have a set, 2 reds, each of which will kill the 1 naval. So we established that these 2 guys, any one of the sets will kill this Athenian naval. This Athenian naval unit is dead. Then we go to the loss table, and it says that for each losing set of units, so we have 1 set of these, I can kill 2 of these, and what I'm going to do is, I'm just mad at, I'm going to kill, I could either kill that, or I can kill that, right? 1 of each, doesn't matter, they're the same thing. I'm going to kill 2 reds just because, hey, kill the Spartans. They're not any better, by the way, it's just more angst. So there you have it. That's how combat once again occurs. Now, we'll get rid of these, so that's over with. And now we know that we've killed 1 of these. Now we have 1 strength left over, because it was a difference of 3. and we are allowed to get rid of 3 points, but there's no other naval available. There is, by the way, even if this wasn't here, this base could not be killed because it takes 2 to kill the base and you only have 1 surplus. So the base would survive in either scenario in this battle, although because there's a land unit, it can't be killed anyway. What's also important is that the Spartans did throw in more strategos than the Athenians by 1. If that had been the situation where it was 8-8, again, even though I had a sufficient surplus to kill the base, I couldn't because I have to have more strategos. In other words, this is like a Gylippus at Syracuse just doing amazing things to screw up a siege. So anyway, that is the situation on the ground. And now that the Spartans have won the naval battle, the Spartans are going to, heck, why not fight a land battle? I think we've got this one. So now the land combat is going to be also a very close battle because we have 2, 3, 4, and 9 is 13. So we have 13 versus 2, 3, and 8, which is 11. That's a difference of only 2. And the cards could decide this one. So I'm now going to pick the top 2 cards over here on the left, and we bring them in. And oh, look at this! Oh, you gotta love life. So this is the biggest spread you can get in Athens. Obviously, the gods are smiling on Athens because this is the Hellespont. And so now, okay, so in an amazing turn of fate, in a close battle, the Athenians won the land battle, which is unusual. And so again, let us go back to our... Oh, by the way, just so you know, I would have assigned honor here because the Athenians lost 1 unit. The commanding general was the Aegeans. They gained 2, and the Eurypontids gained 1 honor. And then both of the Athenian guys lost an honor. So that was in that. I'll show you the final score, but that was already calculated offline. Now in this situation, let's go to the battle chart. All right, behave. So the Athenians won, and they had 1 land cube, and there was 2 Peloponnesian cubes. Now we will note that I only have 1 set, and the difference was 2. But however, I can only kill 1 because even though I have a differential of 2, if I had another land unit of some kind, again it could have been a white one, then both of these 2 could kill those 2. But even though I have the differential, I only have 1 land cube. And consequently, that means that 1 kills 1. This guy's going to survive regardless because I don't have any more land units to kill him. Then we go to the loss table, and it says I have to have lost 2 of these to kill 1 of these, right? See, it says, well, it's just pretty visual, right? It's two cubes to kill any one of the others. So as a consequence, this guy's dead, and there wasn't enough to kill the Athenian. And so we roll back here, and so while the Athenians lost the naval battle, they miraculously won the land battle in convincing fashion. And so the loss of the 1 cube means that now, because there's no, the winners are not the issue owner, each of them is going to gain... Whoops, come on now, behave yourself, camera. This is going to go up 1. I already took them down for the other loss. This goes up 1. And these were already raised 1 each, but now they go back down 1 each. Actually, they should be on the same place. I must have hit it. And so now that battle and that military issue has been resolved. Okay, so this is gone. And we do note, by the way, so a lot of strategos have been burnt up. So now, while there's plenty of issues on the map, you know, and by the way, this would be behind, we have these really cool, where are they? Well, we have these shields. So, you know, again, I wouldn't use the Spartan one for the Athenians, but everybody gets one of these kind of things. But right now, the Athenians, because of, you know, how they've spent, they only have 3 each. There's not a lot going to happen here because of that. The Spartans, on the other hand, are a little bit better. Again, you wouldn't know this because these would be behind hidden shields. So you might be able to keep track of it, but some people will, have good enough memory to see how many are won by each side, but that's the kind of relative, Strategos offerings left. And so I predict that, the situation is going to be what it is. Now, you'll note that this is the final situation in the Hellespont, and because the Athenians do have a base here, and there's no more, you can see there's no more issues here. This theater is done for this particular scenario. The Athenians are going to maintain their granary, which is not a factor in this particular scenario, but in the long game, this is why this is the Athenians would lose the game if at the end of the next turn they didn't reestablish a granary. So that's that is, by the way, how historically and in the game the Spartans are likely to beat the Athenians. It's very rare that you would actually have Sparta or Athens actually conquered. I have seen it only because somebody wasn't paying attention, but for the most part that never happens, and this is usually the way of victory, which is also how it was done historically. Okay, I found the die roll. It was a 1, so we're going to get to see what the last... Oh! Now this could be very interesting. Do we have a shot at it? You know what? Let's see if we can go for the win. I don't think this is going to work, by the way, but I'm up for a challenge. So here's the situation. Athens has got a naval strength of 2, 4, 6. Remember, we pulled that naval... And this is, by the way, is the only way... Remember I just said it never happens? This is how it can happen. And the naval strength here is 2. So the question is can we get sufficient naval stuff here to make a difference? And the answer is maybe. So here's how we're going to... It's the Aegean. So again, I'm just going to go all out and see if we can win this game. So we're going to throw 5 in for the Aegeans, and we're going to throw in 2 for the Eurypontids, only because there are a couple of... what the heck. I say we'll just save 1 so we're going to go in as much as we can and leave 1 in reserve for them. And the Athenians obviously are scared. They're going to throw in whatever they have left because this is Athens. And so now let's see what the situation is. And again, these two guys here may actually end up playing very strongly in the land battle, and they play in the naval battle, by the way. So let's go look at what's going on here. So the only 2 naval units we have are up here. There's a blue connection. But the good news is because we have a base and they have a base, my naval strength here is 2, 3, 4 to 2. So those 2 naval units can travel to Athens along this route here. See? They're going to go right in here. And so now, can I get any other naval units? The answer is no, but because there may be a land battle, and I've got I got 8, 5, 6, yeah, I've got 8. I've only moved 2. We're going to move, okay, this is fun. We're going to move in 5 Spartan army units. So the land battle is going to be ours if we can get to it. And because this is the 300, right? It's a Strategos and a unit. It self-deploys, and we're going to send that one in too. So this is it, folks. The Battle of Athens. And then at this point, after all, we say we're done moving. We now throw in these, and let's see what the heck happens. So, strengths in the naval battle are Athens has 2, 4, 6, right? Those are each 2. So Athens is only a 6, plus the 4 Strategos, which is a total of 10. So 6 plus, so that's Athens. On the other hand, Sparta has a naval strength of 2, 3, 4. Treachery markers count. 5, 6. 6 and 8 is 14. Ooh. That's, let's make sure I did that right. So, there's 8 here, right? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So I got 14 to 10. I'm pulling the top 2 cards, and here they come. Oh, I gotta love this. You know, sometimes, hang on, you'll see in a second. Sometimes, you know, the gods laugh. So, the final score here is, and by the way, this never happens, but of course, I wasn't doing it strategically, I was doing it totally, this is what total random will do for you sometimes. So, the total Athenian strength is 12. The total Spartan strength now was 14 plus 5 is 19. That's a differential of 7. Okay, so clearly, if we go to the table, I mean, again, we're going to look at this table again, but I'm just going to throw it in front of the screen here real quick. So, again, we have 2 of these. We have 1 red and 1 yellow. We can kill 1 of these. And you'll note there's only 1 Athenian naval unit. So he's gone. And we have sufficient surplus to kill the bases, but because of the land units, can't do it. But however, here's the big difference. Normally, the Athenian Navy in a game would win this naval battle. They would never be a land battle. But now, because of the Navy's been stripped away, we're going to have a land battle. And I'm just telling you, it's over. Actually, it kind of makes this a shorter video than I would have thought. But anyway, the Athenian, and let's forget about the honor for a minute. Actually, the honor is going to matter in a minute. So each of the, these guys lost 2. What is this? This is an Aegeans gained 2, and the other one, the Europontans gained 1. But now we're going to do the land battle, and the land battle is going to be ugly. So it's going to be 2, 4, 5, 6. 6 and 4 again is 10. So we're back to 10 again. But now it's the Spartan army. So this, and by the way, this is a strategos also. So you've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. What do we got here? 1, 2, 3. Do I have 7? Yeah. 14, 15, 16, 17. 17 and 8 is 25. And then plus 2 for the treachery is 27. So I got 27 to 10. There is no card roll that's going to save this, but let's just do it to kind of finish this thing out correctly. And once again, the gods are laughing for Sparta. It's 4, that's 31 to, was it 12? Obviously, again, let's go to the chart, because again, I want to keep knocking this chart down. Each cube, each of these, I have multiple sets of these, but let's just say that this cube can kill, see, it says times 2. That's how the combat chart works, okay? So that kills the 2 Athenian land units. And 2 Athenian land units, you know, you have to have 4 to kill a Spartan, and there's no, 2 of these would kill 1 of these, but there's none of these there, so there's nothing to kill. That's why it says you can't mix lines, so those 2 guys are dead. And then we have more than enough surplus to wipe out these 2 bases. And so what that is, well, first off, Athens has been crushed, so we don't have to go too much further in the video. But just to keep track of the honor points, because it's going to matter, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 pieces were now killed, and that means that the Aegeans are going to get 8 points. So they're going to go from 9 to 17. It's all going to be in the shot. These guys are going to go up by 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. They're going to go down by 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And they're going to go down by 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And so, and the scenario is over. I mean, normally you would keep playing, but the fact that Athens has fallen and there's no way to recover this situation, it is victory. And I have to tell you, by the way, I have not seen that. Well, the reason it doesn't happen in real play is that, you would just never leave yourself that vulnerable. But this is near the end of the war. Athens gambled. They scored a whole bunch of points on Lesbos, but again, they had no protection back here, and so that's kind of how the game ends, with an enormous Spartan victory. Won by Sparta, but of course this condition always, is going to take precedence. And lastly, the Aegeans have the highest score, so the Aegeans won the game. in a glorious outcome that I just had not foreseen. Of course, if we quickly look around the board, just to show you what we didn't end up doing, this was a league issue, so it probably would have raised more naval forces. What was going on here? Oh, these were two rumor markers out there. This was a diplomatic that would have been followed by a league. And this was, oh, a whole lot more military into the South Sporads, I guess, to protect that base. But again, let's not worry about the, this was just meant to show procedure. And you can see that totally random, without thinking about what's a good move, led to a very dramatic outcome, the fall of Athens. So there you have it. I'll come back on in a few minutes with some thoughts. Okay, so here's the final situation. As we saw, the scenario was won by the Spartans, both in two ways. One, they won on the honor, and they also won because Athens was conquered, which I, by the way, had seen only twice in play testing. What I'm going to do here, though, is, just so you know, one of the things that I did research in some detail, and if you want to catch up on this, go to Thucydides. Let me see if you can actually see the section, but if you read Thucydides, it's Book 2, Section 24. So that's the way that's written in notation, is Thucydides 2.24. And there was a law passed, which I used in my model, which says, and so in the beginning of the war it would look like this, is by law, by Athenian law, this was the circumstance that always had to be. In other words, you had to have 100 triremes and the money to support it, and two bases will support 4 triremes, 4 naval units, because they're 2 each, right? This is 4, 2, 2, and this one supports these 2 in the redeployment phase. And that kind of looks like a smiley face. But anyway, the point is that the Athenians in the game should pay attention to the historical law. By the way, the law is such that if you violated the law, in other words, if you, technically, if you took this away during the game, you would be executed, because that was against the law to remove anything from reserve or from the money that would support it. So that's just an interesting sidebar for those. Obviously, in this situation, we were down to something more like this, and at that point, things get, at this point, things start to get hairy, because now I can bring in enough naval strength. There's a base that kind of cancels that base out. These two guys are equal to that, and at that point, it's a little bit of a crapshoot who can throw in more strategos and prevail. So again, Athens was on the edge, and of course it's late in the war, so that was the whole point. Athens did eventually lose the naval conflict and its freedom, although it was a near-run thing up in the Hellespont, so you can see how this could be a really interesting scenario to play. I don't claim that this scenario is balanced, as I said at the thing, but it is a really good way to learn how to play the theater game, which is why it's there. Okay, signing off for now.